Welcome to the Clockwork Percussion Podcast. Today's guest is Jessie Nelson.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Welcome on. Thanks for coming. Jessie, the idea is just to get to know you better as a drummer. And with that being said, what got you started?
So my story is really, really odd. Before I was a drummer, I was a flute player. And at the age of 17, I heard Tony Williams on Miles Davis' 7 Steps to Heaven and said, I want to do that. And then I decided I really needed to go to college to learn how to play drums. The other side of that story is I wasn't sure if I was going to get to be a drummer, so I was a music journalist instead. I wrote for the Village Voice and other publications from the time I was 20 all the way through probably about my late 20s. So I was doing that because I didn't know if I was going to get to be a professional drummer. And by the time I got out of undergrad at Arizona State, I was out gigging, restaurants and weddings, playing jazz gigs, for money with everybody else. The other crazy side note to my story is my second year at college at ASU. I got asked to lead the jazz program because they said I wasn't good enough. And I said, cool, I'm not leaving. So what are we doing? And they said, well, you can get your BA in music. And I said, yeah, what's the difference between that and the jazz performance degree that I wanted? And they said, well, it's the same deal, but without the recital requirement. And I said, all right, can I take lessons every semester? They said, yeah. I said, can I be in ensembles every semester? They said, yeah. I said, all right. And so I did everything. Mallets, orchestra, African drum, small group, big band, the whole god. I did everything. And then by the time I got out, I was working. And then 3 years went by. I was substitute teaching. I was teaching lessons one night a week at a store, and I was gigging Thursday through Sunday. After 3 years of that, I was like, nothing else is going to be. I'm from New York anyway, Long Island and Queens, half Jewish, half Italian. And I applied for grad school, auditioned for SUNY Purchase twice. They didn't take me. I applied to Brooklyn College for this program. I was an MFA in Performance and Interactive Media Arts. So I show up in October and then start playing my first off-Broadway show in the same month because I'm a freaking lunatic. Yeah, don't ask, but it's what happened. And now here we are, 13 years later. And I really live in musical theater land most of the time, off-Broadway, up, down, and sideways, all the cabaret stuff, and then jazz gigs and R&B stuff and singer-songwriter and every other thing. I have a jazz group that I take out of the closet once or twice a year when I feel like it, a Robert Glasper inspired kind of a thing. And I'm working on cracking the Broadway subbing thing. I'm about 2 steps from the door. I can't talk about it because apparently we're in the mafia instead of playing music. But that's been a 14-year fight. But I'm in the pipeline, so we'll take it. And I'm ready for that kind of next tier of the theater gigs. I'm ready for the next tier of, say, some of the R&B stuff. I feel like I'm kind of right below the line, So that's my career. That's where we are.
That's amazing. There's a lot to go into with that.
Well, I'm a crazy person. I'm a crazy person. When I listen to all of it, I'm like,
I think we all have to be a little bit just music itself and musicians. We're all a little nutty.
True. We are. We absolutely are. Yeah.
Yeah. Glasper is awesome. So that's a really cool influence for your personal band. So, was your first performing group out of college and into that world
No, before the playing jazz standards for money period of my life happened. I had a band called Anti-Organic, and it was a folk funk band, and we did originals and obscure covers. And that's also where I learned how to sing and play drums at the same time. Side note, which I just did for the first time in 20 years at my latest gig at New Blue in New York. There is video of that. I will send that over to you because you should see it. It was amazing. I did a Bill Withers tune. It was awesome. Anyway, forgetting about that. And then I had another group, an all-female funk group called The Head of the Girl, and we did that, and that was cool. And it wasn't jazz, but it was still artistically written music. Like I was working with people who could do stuff, who were either in school for music with me, or had just played but knew what was going on. It was all very it wasn't. We weren't playing changes, we weren't playing standards, but it was all high-level stuff because we were all listening to Ani DeFranco and Hole and Metallica and Rancid and Bad Religion and Sonic Youth and so but it's, and Lauryn Hill and Erykah Badu and it was that 90s melting pot. Massive Attack, Portishead, DJ Shadow, and we were all listening to everything. So the point was that maybe we weren't like the most technically where I ended up later, but we knew what was everybody could play.
That's awesome.
So that was cool, So that was that. But anyway, yeah. So that was the first iteration, and then I got into the jazz thing and kept going, and here we are. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, a lot of good influences in there. I mean, Portishead, Massive Attack, and and all the punk stuff you mentioned. That's my background, punk and metal. So, and then what are you doing now, Jessie?
I am currently. What am I doing? I'm getting ready to work on a small theater gig in October, just like a small thing with a small company in New Jersey. That's great. We love it. Working on that Broadway sub book that I was talking about that I can't talk about. And what's next? I'm missing something. And then just thinking about for 2024, like what are the really big things that I want to do next career wise, like what's the next things that need to happen. And in my mind, that is continuing to figure out the Broadway quagmire thing and to get into the R&B world at that next tier, to figure out how to crack that. And then also I spent 5 years DJing at Ace Hotel in New York, just because I wanted to do the gig, because I wanted to curate shit, because I was like, I listen to all this hip stuff. Everybody needs to know about it, which is what that gig is my excuse for. Anyway, so I did that for 5 years. I would like to DJ New York Fashion Week. That's a bucket list thing, just for fun. Nothing to do with drums, just for fun. That's just a thing. But anyway, but yeah, to kind of think about, what are the bigger things? I don't know, like I would like endorsements. I put in applications, but I know right now the landscape, nobody's giving anybody anything. So that may be sort of a lost cause, but I put in applications anyway, whatever. I'll take my group out again next year. We'll do it again. And I think at this moment, that's it, but that sounds like enough.
That's pretty cool. You mentioned that you went to school in Arizona. Which school was that?
I went to Arizona State University.
Okay. And so you joined the jazz program and then moved into the all-around music program. You said you tackled a lot of different subjects and instruments. So were you still, sounds like there's a primary focus on drums outside of school, but were you still able to focus in on jazz drums there?
Yeah, absolutely. Jazz drum set. And then also I played jazz vibes. I got really heavy into that, and I worked on it during grad school as well. And then during undergrad, I had a vibraphone project called Beat Construction, and that was kind of my first foray into like translating electronic music into live music. Like that was my first foray into that thing, because I was busy listening to Portishead and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that was my first foray into that, and so I got super into playing jazz vibes. Like I love comping changes and soloing. That's like so much fun.
Okay.
And also listening to like, who LTJ Bookham is from the drum and bass world, and his collaboration with Herbie Hancock. And I was like, oh shit. And so I'm like transcribing this wild vibraphone solo from this drum and bass record,
Okay.
Jesus.
Wow.
Yeah, that kind of thing, that kind of level. It's that level. It's that deep. It's that deep.
Thing.
Yeah. But anyway, so I got super into that whole thing at the time. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Along with the drum set stuff. Totally.
Are you have you heard of the band Tortoise from Chicago?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They bring out like, 2 sets of vibraphones on stage, 2 drum sets facing each other with like 18-inch kicks, but they play this rock.
Oh, Jesus.
Jazz
wow.
fusion. And it's 5 guys, and they switch around. So if you ever get a chance.
That's ambitious.
They've been doing it since the 90s, and they're incomparable.
Good for that. That's ambitious.
Yeah.
That's like another level.
Yeah, I highly recommend their shows. And then
That's awesome.
On Wednesday, I'm going to go see Domi and JD Beck open up for Polyphia.
I know about them. Yeah.
Yeah. Herbie Hancock was on their debut record that they released like a year.
I know. Right.
And he does that drum and bass drumming stuff that's just super cool and intricate, and I love it.
Yeah, well, and I remember seeing, a long ass time ago, I saw Jojo Mayer with Nerve, and I saw Mark Giuliano with Beat Music. So I think that was kind of my exposure to that. And I before that, I was a Jungle head. I was a Breakbeat Science Records head. So I was already like the music was not the thing. It was seeing it like translated that way was the piece that I needed. And I don't know if you have it or not, but if you listen to my tunes, like you'll hear the breakbeat influence all over the fucking place. I don't know what I sent you. I'll send you stuff if I didn't. I don't remember if I did or not.
Yeah, I checked out your website a little bit, but I'd love to hear more of what you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Which I think it's just on my YouTube channel, but I'll send it over when we're done.
Cool. So who is your favorite drummer if you had to pick one?
Oh my God, that's a hard question. But somebody asked me that too recently. And I think I said Questlove. Like I think Questlove, because he's so like, I mean, he can do any gig. I mean, the latest thing I just listened to was something he just did with Christian McBride and Nora Jones. It's great. It's fantastic. But then he's got all the the chops to do every other damn thing. And he's also another multi-hyphenate. He does other stuff. He's a DJ. He's got his hands in the culinary world. He does different, the producing shit, film stuff. He books. Guy's written 5 books on creativity plus a memoir. Like he does different stuff, and I relate to all of that. But then if we're just talking about the drums, definitely Questlove. But also I'm going to say Questlove, Elvin Jones.
Okay.
Of course. And I am so bad with names. This is going to make me nuts. Nate Smith. Nate Smith, of course. A personal friend of mine, Darren Han, who played with Ani DeFranco for a really long time. I don't know if you know who Darren is.
No.
Shit. When I'm thinking about names, I'm skipping my fucking Spotify to think about names. Brian Chase from the Yeah Yeah Yeahs.
Oh yeah, very cool.
I'm sitting here skimming my Spotify to pull for names, and I can't at this moment. All right, whatever. But anyway, so those people, yes, those people, and like Roy Haynes, Al Foster. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. So that's a collection. Yeah.
Sure. I think the first jazz show I ever saw was I live near Los Angeles, and I think it was the Catalina Club. Roy Haynes. And
yeah,
incredible. Yeah, that was a unique experience. You mentioned Nate Smith. He gets brought up a lot, and I haven't sat down and listened to Pocket Change yet, but everyone is telling me I have to listen to that.
Well, there was the year 2015 was the year I had no gigs, and I'm lucky that's really only happened like twice in my 15-year career. Like shit happens, we'll take it. Not so bad. But that year was the year I played one gig, and that one gig was at the Iridium, so that was good. It was one gig, and the one gig was I got to play at the Iridium, but that was my one gig for the year. Okay, and that was also the year I took a lesson with Nate Smith, and that was the best $150 I ever spent.
Wow.
And that was fantastic. Well, because I was trying to get from point A to point B. So the point was I took the lesson and then used that year to level up my playing so I could get where the hell we're going already. But yeah, so that was that. But yeah, so that's my Nate Smith story. But and his Kinfolk record is fantastic.
Okay.
That one. Yeah, check that. Check if you haven't listened. Check start the other way. And check out the Kinfolk thing, and then go to Pocket Change maybe.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's a way to check his work out. But sorry, I'm not trying to step on your toes.
No, not at all. What kind of drumsticks do you use?
ProMark Acid Jazz Series.
Interesting.
They're really good, They're a good middle of the road because I do a lot of different stuff. They work for musical theater. They work for all the other stuff.
So, being less familiar with ProMark and even less familiar with jazz sticks, are they more of like the 7A to 5A size diameter? Or are they smaller?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. No, they're in that 5 to 7A. Yeah. And it's a good, I've done theater gigs with them. I've done jazz stuff with them. I've done singer-songwriter. I've done R&B things with them. They're really good. Like you get the if you need it, but you can also play, super quietly or really, dynamically, when the situation calls for it.
Right.
So I think they're good. Would I play a rock gig with them? Maybe no. I'm going to pull out the 5As or the 5Bs for that. Okay, but all the other high level stuff that I do, yeah, those are good. You can get through a myriad of situations with those.
They sound versatile. I'm going to check those out.
Yeah, no, they absolutely are. Totally.
What about the drum kit? What current set are you using?
I have my Apex Venus Voyager. I don't know if they make these anymore. I bought these. I bought the shells for $200 in a parking lot in Phoenix in 2007. It was the year before I moved. Yeah. So the shells are now over 10 years old.
Nice.
And then I have my snare drum was refurnished, but it's the snare I got when I used to have a Gretsch Catalina. So it's that snare, but it's been redone, new heads, the whole deal.
Okay.
And then my cymbals are a mix and match. This is why Jessie wants endorsements. But my cymbals are a mix and match of stuff. I've got a Sabian dual ride. I've got a pair of I've got a pair of Zildjian hi-hats. I've got a dark K 22-inch dark ride Zildjian. Well, I'm so not a gearhead. Like, I'm the wrong person to ask this question, because I'm like, give me stuff that works and I'm going to use it for forever, and that's it.
For sure.
I'm not good with like the specs, but give me things that are quality. Yeah. Yeah. And I do have later portable hardware. Yeah. That was like a game changer. Like getting like hardware that you can fit in a case that looks like it could fit a little bigger than a laptop. It's a little bigger than that, but it's still better than like the freaking duffel bag of crap I was schlepping all over.
Yeah.
So that made a big difference. But that's what I mean. Like, quality is a thing. Quality stuff.
100%. Yeah, I have no allegiance to a real cymbal brand either, but I've noticed that once you're over like a certain price point, you're going to get high quality no matter what. And it's all preference, but if you're spending good money, you're going to get high quality stuff.
Totally. I mean, in my, wish list, maybe someplace in 2024 wish list to get my hands on like the Meinl dark hi-hats and the Meinl dark ride. And I love that stuff. I'm a huge fan, big fan of that sound, but that's the wish list. Everything I own right now, I can do the gig with. So I'm not losing my brain over it, like I'll get to it.
For sure. What about a dream kit?
Ludwig is doing some, again, I'm not amazing with gear specs, but I'm thinking about things that I just looked at. Ludwig's doing some nice stuff. I would almost like another Catalina, another Gretsch Catalina, because they're so versatile and they're great. DW.
Mm-hmm.
Any kind of, DW does some nice stuff. Where I practice, there's the house kit, and there's a DW kit, and I'm really enjoying that. So I think like a DW kit is a thought. And that's, somewhere in the next like 5 to 10 years, the second kit is happening. Like that's happening. I got to do that. That's definitely like been on my list for a while. But that's not in the tomorrow range at all. But somewhere in the next 5 to 10 is get the second drum set. So before I'm 50, it'll happen.
So what's your setup like? Is it like one up, one down? How many cymbals do you have? That type of thing.
Oh, standard ride, crash, hi-hat, and then the shells. That's it. Yeah, I don't have anything fancy going on at this point in time. I think if I was doing gigs that required other stuff, I totally would. But right now, that's not where we are.
Right.
So okay. Yeah, that's all right. Yeah.
I'm actually the same way. I think, smaller is better, get more creative with less stuff. So you live in New York. What challenges does that bring for a rehearsal? How does that work?
I have lucked out in my life that I have been so lucky since 2009 to find, like, for the most part, like very few kind of in between good solid practice situations that I can afford. I think I've got some like some good energy riding over me about that, because I have never had I've always ended up, even if it took a second between times, then I would end up in some like good practice situation that I could swing. So far, that has always happened. But that has happened because I've rented it from people I know.
Mm-hmm.
People I was already friends with in the scene, not like people from random Craigslist or whatever, that kind of stuff. So I've lucked out that I've had good spaces with good gear. Everybody's, adults. It's not a whole to do. You schedule your time, you work. That's it. Everybody's cool. But I've also heard horror stories. So I'm lucky that I haven't had to experience any of that. And then,
Yeah.
I have a practice, I have a practice pad where I live, so that's fine. And I can't, how much music I learned not in front of the drum set too at this point in my career. You don't have to be in front of a kit to like get stuff together. As much as we maybe did need to as when we were younger. But anyway, but yeah, so it can be done. But I would say that renting from people is the way to go to find a good situation.
Yeah, because I know the real estate's a lot more limited in the big city versus elsewhere. Like for instance, we do like monthly rehearsal studios where you can just like rent a room for a few $100, split it with some friends, and leave your stuff there. So just curious as to how it commonly happens in New York City.
Well, it's the same thing, but it's just they're expensive.
Right.
They're expensive, but it's the exact same deal.
Okay. And then are there specific like zoned out areas where you can play loud? Because I imagine like it's not like in the center of Manhattan getting loud, or maybe it is. I don't know. What's that like?
Yeah, I mean, there are rehearsal spaces all over the city, and there are places that have like hourly, drum rooms and hourly whatever, and that's another story. But there are places all over. They're all over the boroughs, usually kind of in the outer boroughs, away from things, kind of in like industrial areas. But then there are some spaces in Midtown that are open until 11 p.m. or 24-hour access or whatever. But my guess is it's all in the damn soundproofing, all that kind of shit. But yeah, so it happens. It's a thing. It works.
That's sick. Okay. What does drumming mean to you?
Oh my God. That's an awesome question. Drumming is the difference between. Wow. Hang on. Sorry. Sorry. Wow. Like I'm having a moment because that's like I've not been asked this question. Wow. Okay. All right. Here we go. Drumming is the difference between living and not.
I love that. Yeah, the question's meant to be a curveball. So,
no, that's great. That's fantastic.
Yeah, everyone has a personal answer, and I agree with your sentiment. I mean, I don't know what I'd do with that. That's awesome. What type of tips do you have for anyone listening? I mean, whether it be a beginner or someone more established or just a hobbyist, what tips would you like to impart?
Well, the biggest one being believe in yourself more than the world is ever going to, and don't listen to the word no. And the second one is take care of your body. Take care of your health stuff.
Okay.
So, and honestly, if you do those two things, that's enough.
I love that. So
that's enough.
That's like are you a salesperson as well?
No. Why would you say that?
Don't take no for an answer. I do work in sales as well. So that's like a common theme, which I appreciate. It's not like meant to be negative in any way. But I'm definitely not a salesperson. No, for sure. Can you go more into what you mean by that? Is it more like audition rejection or?
Any of it. I think what I say covers a multitude of things. It can be audition rejection. It can be, I thought I had a great experience with that music director, but they've never hired me again. What the hell? Or, so-and-so's on that gig. Why am I not on that gig? It's a multitude of things. And honestly, if you keep your head down and stay in the work, you're going to be fine and you're going to keep working. If you do anything else, you're going to be in trouble. Because the minute you start looking around at who's doing what and who's on what gig and who's in what chair and why am I not, blah, 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 it's all over. Like, because you get, like, if you're in this business for self-esteem, you're in the wrong place. And especially right now with the landscape the way it is, it's a little bit more me, mine than it's been in a long time. Mm-hmm. So, unfortunate and due to scarcity mindset, that makes people act like assholes, and that makes people get really territorial about who's subbing for who and who's not and what's going on. And it's so if you're not if you're not in this for the right reasons, like you can't stay in it, something like that. That's a little convoluted, but I think you know what I mean.
No, absolutely. And then you mentioned health being a priority. What steps do you take to ensure that?
I mean, I'm a big, hydration is a thing, clean eating is a thing. Any kind of form of working out, whatever it is that you like to do. For me, that's yoga and kettlebell stuff is a thing. Keep your mental health together, whatever that looks like for you is a thing. And so if you do all of those things, you'll be all right. If you don't, this business beats up your body, the doing, and especially the older you get. So if the idea is to keep doing it, into your, Roy Haynes was 92, I think, the last time he was at the Blue Note, if I remember correctly. If the idea is to keep doing it, then you got to take care of yourself. And it's a way that everybody should, but most people don't.
Right.
So yeah. So I think both of those things are super important.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, drumming's so physical in itself, and then lugging around gear, if you're playing multiple gigs in one day, or just like even breaking down, loading, setting up, breaking down, taking it back. Yoga and kettlebells, that's a great way to take care of it. Cool. Jessie, do you have anything else that you'd like to mention?
No. Can you put my socials and my website in the show notes?
Of course. Yeah. How, if you could please mention those, how can people find you?
Great. My website is www.jessiemenelson.com. My Instagram is at jessie.m.nelson.
Awesome. Okay. So Jessie M. Nelson, and I will definitely put those in the show notes and bios and descriptions. Very cool. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on. You have a very unique perspective from anyone I've talked to so far, because you're classically trained, and you play a lot of jazz stuff. I think you might be the first main jazz focused drummer that I've spoken with. So it's been a pleasure.
Oh, cool. Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That's great.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, Jessie. Well, it's been a pleasure. You're welcome back anytime, and I'll look forward to catching up with you in the future.